Cold cases, unsolved crime cases, and unsolved disappearances are all things that I love to explore. And I know you do too, you intriguing and intellectually minded person. Today, we are discussing a very interesting cold case known as the unsolved murder of Alonzo Brooks. But before we dive deeper into this rabbit hole of mystery, if you're new here and love true crime as much as I do, hit that subscribe button faster than a detective chasing a lead. And if you're already part of our true crime family, you know what to do. Smash that like button like it's a piece of evidence you're trying to preserve. Now, let me take you back to the spring of 2004, specifically to a small town called Cygne, Kansas. And when I say small, I mean small, population barely over 1,000 people. You know, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone's business, except apparently when it matters most. Alonzo Brooks was a 23-year-old young man from Gardner, Kansas. Friends described him as the life of the party, always smiling, always making others laugh. Picture this, a 6 feet 1 inch friendly giant with a heart of gold and a smile that could light up any room. And trust me, folks, this detail becomes important later. Now, on April 3rd, 2004, Alonzo decided to attend a party about an hour away from his home. The party was at a farmhouse in Cygne. You know, one of those rural gatherings where the address is more like turn left at the big oak tree and keep going until you see the red barn. I'm not even joking. That's literally how directions worked out there. But here's where things get interesting, and by interesting, I mean concerning. Alonzo went to this party with 3 friends, and he was one of only 3 black people at a party of about 100 people. Remember when I mentioned this was a small town? Well, it was also a predominantly white town with a history of racial tension that nobody really talked about. If you're feeling a chill down your spine right now, trust your instincts, because this is where our story takes a dark turn. Before we continue with what happened at that party, if you're enjoying this deep dive into one of America's most perplexing cold cases, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people find these important stories that need to be told. The 3 friends who drove Alonzo to the party, well, they all left separately throughout the night. One needed cigarettes and got lost on the way back. Another had to work early the next morning. And the third, well, he just left, each assuming someone else would bring Alonzo home. You might be thinking, who leaves their friend at a party an hour away from home? Well, my curious friends, that's just the tip of this mysterious iceberg. Reports from party-goers that night were, let's say, inconsistent at best. Some said Alonzo was fine, enjoying himself, while others mentioned racial slurs being thrown around. Some witnessed confrontations. Others saw nothing unusual. But one thing's for certain, Alonzo Brooks never made it home that night. Now, folks, grab your detective hats because this is where things get more puzzling than a cat trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. The next morning, when Alonzo didn't come home, his family knew something was wrong. And I mean wrong. This wasn't some teenager staying out late. This was a responsible 23-year-old man who always kept in touch with his family. If you're thinking this should have been an immediate red flag for law enforcement, well, you'd be right. But here's where things get frustrating enough to make you want to throw your coffee mug across the room. Please don't, though. Coffee is precious. The initial response from law enforcement was, let's just say it was about as useful as a chocolate teapot. They treated it as just another missing person case, suggesting that maybe Alonzo had just walked away or needed some time alone. Quick reminder to our true crime family. If you're as frustrated as I am right now, hit that subscribe button. Together, we can keep these cases alive and maybe, just maybe, help bring justice to families still waiting for answers. The initial search was, well, let's be polite and say limited. Law enforcement searched the immediate area around the farmhouse, but here's the kicker. They didn't even search the creek behind the property. You know, the creek that would later become a crucial part of this investigation. I mean, come on. That's like looking for your keys, but not checking your pockets. Alonzo's family and friends, however, weren't about to sit around waiting. They organized their own search parties, combing through every inch of lost Cygne they could access. But here's where things get even more disturbing. They reported being met with hostility from some local residents. We're talking about threatening looks, refusing to let them search certain areas, and even some folks suddenly developing amnesia about the night of the party. 1 month passed. No Alonzo. 2 months passed. Still no answers. But then, in May 2004, Alonzo's family was finally allowed to conduct their own search of the area. And guess what they found within an hour? 1 hour, folks. After weeks of official searches, Alonzo's body was found near that very creek that law enforcement had initially ignored. If you're feeling angry right now, you should be. If you're feeling confused, join the club. And if you're wondering how this could happen in 21st century America, well, that's exactly why we need to keep talking about these cases. Before we dive into the aftermath of this discovery and the investigation that followed, take a moment to hit that like button. It's not just about engagement. It's about making sure stories like Alonzo's don't get forgotten in the depths of the internet. The condition of Alonzo's body raised more questions than answers. Despite being exposed to the elements for a month, the coroner couldn't determine a cause of death. But here's the thing that makes everyone's spidey senses tingle. His body was found in an area that had been searched multiple times before. Was it there the whole time? Or was it placed there later? All right, true crime sleuths. This is where things get more twisted than a pretzel in a tornado. And if you're still with me, you're about to see why this case has haunted investigators and true crime enthusiasts for years. The investigation that followed Alonzo's discovery was, well, let's just say it was about as effective as using a fork to eat soup. Multiple witnesses from the party suddenly developed what I like to call convenient amnesia. You know, the kind where people mysteriously forget everything that happened on a specific night. Yeah, that kind. If you're feeling frustrated by this point, show it by hitting that like button so hard it feels the same frustration we're feeling right now. Now, here's where things get interesting, and by interesting, I mean infuriating. Several witnesses later came forward with stories of racial slurs and threats being made toward Alonzo at the party. Some even reported seeing a physical altercation. But when questioned by authorities, these same witnesses would suddenly not recall these details. I mean, come on. This isn't a case of misplacing your car keys. This is about a young man's life. In 2019, 15 years after Alonzo's death, something unprecedented happened. Netflix featured his case in their series Unsolved Mysteries. And let me tell you, if you haven't watched it yet, add it to your watch list faster than a suspect deleting their browser history. The publicity from the Netflix series did what years of local investigation couldn't. It brought national attention to the case. And guess what? In 2020, the FBI reopened the investigation and classified it as a hate crime. They even offered a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of Alonzo's killer or killers. If you're new here and want to stay updated on cases like this, smash that subscribe button like the FBI smashed open this cold case. In June 2020, federal authorities exhumed Alonzo's body for a new forensic examination. The second autopsy revealed something the first one missed. Clear signs of trauma indicating that Alonzo's death was no accident. This wasn't just a tragedy, it was a murder. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Someone knows exactly what happened to Alonzo Brooks. In a town that small with a party that size, secrets don't stay buried forever. They're like those annoying weeds that keep popping up no matter how many times you try to get rid of them. As of 2024, the case remains unsolved, but it's far from cold. The FBI continues to investigate, and new tips still come in. Alonzo's family continues their fight for justice, refusing to let his memory fade into the background like so many other unsolved cases. Before we wrap up this tragic tale, let's remember something important. Alonzo Brooks was more than just a case number. He was a son, a brother, a friend. He was known for his infectious laugh and his ability to light up any room he entered. He had dreams, hopes, and a future that was brutally stolen from him. If you or anyone you know has information about what happened to Alonzo Brooks on that April night in 2004, please contact the FBI. Even the smallest detail could be the key to solving this case and bringing peace to his family. And to our true crime family, thank you for joining me on this journey. If you want to help keep stories like Alonzo's alive, you know what to do, like, subscribe, and share this video. Together, we can make sure these cases aren't forgotten and maybe, just maybe, help bring justice to those who deserve it. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember, someone, somewhere, knows something.